connections to Sarah's Rumble or to Sarah's YouTube. Good on that. Gonna run intro in 10 seconds.
Sarah Fraser from The Fraser Show joining me from, where are you, Sarah? Anyway.
LA, finally.
Joining me from LA, I am Rachel Uchitel, for those of you that don't know, from Misunderstood, coming from Palm Beach Gardens. We are here for our second live show. We're so excited. We were just laughing and giggling. I have the chills. This is so fun.
I feel the same way about you. I love co-hosting with you. People love us together. They're loving our chemistry. And you know what? I know we have to get into the presidential debate, but I really want to give you amazing kudos for your interview with Mary Brown. You saved me. I was stuck at an airport for 2 days, and your hour-and-a-half-long interview with her got me through. So you did a great job. I learned so much about polygamy. I actually learned about, I had forgotten, or maybe I didn't even know, that Janelle Brown's mom was married to Cody Brown's dad.
That to me was stunning. And the fact that no one really talks about that was insane. The fact that Janelle Brown was married to Mary's brother originally, I thought was crazy. The brother that died recently. I mean, I thought that whole thing was nuts. And the fact that I asked, just because I was curious, wait, is this a really small town and that seems normal? She's like, no, that's not normal. So I thought it was insane. I really did.
It was great. It was super revealing. The other thing, I think this was small. I don't know if you picked up on it, but there's a lot of Sister Wives chatter that is the show, pre-produced or staged. And she really addressed that on your show. And she said that it's 100% real. But I did think it was interesting that she said she has such a long-term relationship with the producers that they know to not put on certain things. I don't know. I'm always I feel like they've been on TV a long time and that those producers do them favors. Yeah. The whole thing was really good. I learned a lot about her.
It was so interesting because I've always been against polygamy. I don't understand it. Why would a man want to be married to 4 women? Why would women want to share their man, right? It seems so bizarre to me. But I'll tell you a funny story that came up recently. I have a dog sitter who is 6'4", very muscular, handsome, normal guy who sits for my dogs when I leave town. And then I have a girlfriend that lives, 30 minutes away from me here in Palm Beach. And he sits for her dogs and he goes back and forth between our house. And we were talking about the fact that maybe we should do a Sister Wives thing and one of us should just marry him. And then he could just go between the houses because he's good. He's helpful. He could put things together. And we don't want to have sex with him or anything. Maybe we do. I don't know. But he could go between our houses and take care of our dogs, take care of our kids, and we don't have to worry about ever getting married again. It would be so fantastic. So we were kind of into it now that I interviewed Mary.
I get it. And they claim polygamy. It's 2 reasons. One, the idea for men is if men can, I guess, keep multiple women happy and these multiple households together, the idea is you're supposed to be closer to God. You are more holy because you are able to have multiple marriages. And then the other thing is the women love it because the idea is you share the workload. So, you don't have to have your sex with your man multiple times a week. Exactly. Somebody else can be doing it. Someone else can be watching the kids. They love the idea of dividing the workload and more money. But it never works. I don't care what any of them say. It never works. The kids are always messed up.
The kids are messed up. The women are messed up. The whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the presidential debate because I think America went to sleep very worried, woke up even more worried now that I think Biden's team has come out and said that he's, feels good about it and is looking forward to the future. So what were your thoughts about the debate, Sarah?
Oh my God. You know what? The only positive thing I think about that debate was I think it brought all of us as Americans together because I don't know many people who looked at those 2 men and thought they should be representing the United States of America. you're hard pressed to find many. Of course, you have your devout Trump fans. I have many friends and family members who love him. I have many of family members and friends who love Biden, but Joe's in real trouble. I mean,
Yeah.
that was horrible. It was sad. It was sad beyond belief. And I will give former President Trump credit that I actually thought he could have gone so much harder after Joe. And I was happy that I thought he extended some grace.
Yeah.
Maybe that was more the format than it was President Trump's personality.
I agree. I was just going to say it was the format, but you could tell there were plenty of times he could have gone after him and he didn't. But what was interesting to me is that I walked away from it. I'm not somebody who would have said that I would have voted for Trump before. I think a lot of people walked away saying they could definitely not vote for Biden. So therefore they would vote for Trump for sure. And I think that is really scary for the Democratic Party. I think if the Democrats do not put up a new nominee, we're in real trouble because first of all, no one's voting for Joe, just no one. And, people don't like Kamala. So if you're voting for Joe, you're really voting for Kamala. From the beginning, I had my hands up on my mouth. I was like, no, watching him shuffle in, the coughing, I was like, what is happening? And then the fact that he was speaking with such a raspy, low voice, I couldn't even understand him. I had no idea what was going on. I thought it was terrible. And I was so nervous he was actually going to drop dead on a stage. And, I know a lot of people have been talking like this before, but I thought it was like Republicans, just talking shit about him and saying he was so old and decrepit. No. He's old. I mean, listen, the fact is that with the old comment, Donald Trump could have been in school with him. They're basically the same age.
They're the same age. Right. 81 and
70.
77 or something.
Yeah,
78.
Yeah. But the bottom line is he's much more with it. And everybody could see that last night. But the problem with him is that he lies. I mean, so it's like, do I want someone ruling the country that lies and is kind of a bad person? No, not really. So I do hope that they put up a new person. And a couple of people I talked to this morning was like, well, it's so last minute. Well, but last minute for what? Joe is not going to win this. So even if they put someone else in, they'll have a better chance of having people vote for them.
They have to get Gavin Newsom in there immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I mean, it was beyond sad. I think, of course, they're going to come out this morning and say, oh, yeah, all is well, all is well. They can't present panic. There's so much money on the line. There's so much, so they've got to maintain like, this was great. This was so good. And then, I think you're going to see a switch out in the next 6 weeks. I think he will step down.
Who do you think the people are that they're reaching out to right now? Obviously, Gavin. I knew that.
110%. Gavin, I think Gavin Newsom is the only, Gretchen Whitmer from the governor of Michigan, people really like. I just don't think I like her, but I don't think she's well enough known on
I don't think she's well enough known. Also,
platform.
There are a lot of people that are not ready for a woman. I mean, I don't know that this is the time 3 months before the election, whatever it is, however many months, to start grappling with, can a woman win? Can't they win?
Do you think they just elected a Mexican female, in Mexico, the president now of Mexico is a woman.
Yeah.
In Germany, we've had the leader be, do you think we're not ready?
I think for someone who's not as well known, I definitely think, because it takes a little time to trust that this person is not whatever people think women are, right? I mean, I don't know anything about her. So I think people, besides, unless it was Michelle Obama, I think everyone would get on board with, because they know her. They've been with her for 4 years, 8 years, whatever. They know her, how she moves, how she thinks. They know that she's intelligent. I think she would be a layup.
You're right. She'd be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom and Michelle Obama, or Michelle Obama. And that would be okay.
The other one I think people are talking about, I heard from a friend of mine, former mayor of Rhode Island. He thinks Al Gore is someone that people should be looking at. I didn't agree with him, but as someone, I'm not political, he is, but he thought that Al Gore was somebody that people should look at 100%, that he was strong and would want to do it. What do you think about that?
That I think, unfortunately, Al has too many. It's too synonymous with Hillary and Bill Clinton.
Oh, you think so?
The Clintons, okay. Yeah, and people, whether you loved President Bill Clinton or you didn't. I mean, there's just this stink around both of them is so strong now. It's like, I just think that there's so many, I don't think people would, I
Yeah.
think Gavin is it. I think, because what I love about Gavin is Gavin has the most amazing personality. He'll go on Fox News. He'll go toe to toe. He's none of this. He's very brilliant in he'll talk to all sides. He'll go after DeSantis. He'll talk to DeSantis. He's so charming. Now you can debate if you think he's run California into the ground, which a lot of people feel like he has in our state. But I just think he could go toe to toe.
I totally agree.
You have to have somebody, I think, that can be self-deprecating, sharp on their feet. I mean, because Trump is an entertainer as well. That's what makes him so charismatic. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you've got to have somebody that can match that energy and also excite the American people.
Yeah.
So I think Gavin is it. I think that's why Gavin was in Atlanta last night and doing this whole rigmarole beforehand about how he was there to support and help. And look, he's there because I think he knows how bad it is. They all do. So,
why do you think that leading up to this, they wouldn't have said, you know what, we know how this is going to go. There's not going to be a miracle that happens on the stage. Like, why do you think his people let him out there? Because I, again, was really shocked, as I think most Americans were, that it was this bad. We thought it was something that, the Republicans were just doing to say that Biden was old and crazy and out of it.
No, you bring up a great point. That's a great question. I don't know. I think that the Biden team was in a corner. If they don't bring him out, then you're going to allow the Republican Party to run amok with all the mental issues. Unfortunately, they brought him out and they're still going to run. But I also do think, because I actually think that President Biden is a good person. I think he loves this country. I think he puts country first. And, this because you have so many political friends. You've had so many political analysts on. We're in big trouble for both parties because both the Democratic Party and Republican Party are no longer working for the people of this country. They're not. They're run by super PACs. They're all about big money and the big companies, the big billionaires. Now we're headed to trillionaires. They're about taking care of those men and women. Right. It's not about middle America anymore, like creating a middle class where you can afford a home. One parent can stay in the home and raise the kids while the other person makes enough money to support the household. Neither party has a plan for that. They don't. Yeah. They're full of it. We need, so I just think that with President Biden, he's 81, right? As your parents get older and they get up in age, things begin to deteriorate faster. So where Joe was 6 months ago, where Joe even was maybe 3 months ago when they agreed to this, is probably far different than now. His team has come out and said he had a cold. They've been rehearsing at Camp David for the past 10 days. And I mean,
he should have gotten better at Camp David. Right. I mean, he can relax there, if anywhere.
That's what we're in deep trouble. I mean, if they've been rehearsing at Camp David and this is what we got, we're in big trouble. Did you follow any big inaccuracies stand out for you? Because the only thing, I loved the debate format and I want to see what you think, but I wish they actually had like a live fact checker to check both of them on their inaccuracies. Did anything come up for you?
You know what? I think I wrote some down. I mean, I had this little thing in front of me. Let's see what I had put down and what I saw from this morning too, that corroborated it. He said things like, foreign countries think that we are stupid. Our border is the most dangerous place in the world. We are allowing abortions after birth. Hold on. That one stumped me. Did you hear the part where he said people could have abortions into 9 months? I mean, 9 months. And then even after they're born. I don't know what he was talking about. I mean, did you hear that part?
Yes. And that's a big Republican. This is where I disagree with the Republicans on this one so much. And former President Trump brings this out all the time. I was researching this, late term abortions are so freaking rare. And they really, truly only happen when the mother's life is in danger or the child has such a deformity or something has happened. But this idea that the Republican Party puts out there that doctors are aborting an 8-month in utero child is so fucking fake and
Right.
not true. Nobody would do that. And I truly believe people on both sides, a doctor that aborts an 8-month in utero healthy child is a murderer. And so is
Right.
the mother. And
And
most
well,
people
and
agree
has
with
to
that.
have, like what you just said, a major reason, because
Major. People
us
don't
both
do that.
having had kids, I don't even think we don't hear that that's even an option. If you're gonna have an abortion, it has to be before the third month. I thought. I mean, I don't know. I think that's crazy what he was saying last night, though.
Yeah,
But
that
what
was
does he
way
mean
off.
that it would happen after they were born? That's killing a child. So I didn't understand that sentence either.
I thought he just messed up his words. I mean, both of them sort of had verbal gaffes at different points, but and the one that stood out for me, which was fact checked by the Washington Post. President Biden comes out and says he's created 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Completely inaccurate. It's more
Right.
around 25,000, 35,000. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
So I do wish we had a live fact checker, because both of them lied or exaggerated at times.
Yeah, it almost was like they weren't prepared. It was very odd. And then the thing with Trump is he would take his time to answer questions from before that weren't being asked. But then the thing with Biden was that he would have 82 seconds left, like he didn't know how to answer a question. It was really terrible. You know,
It was
if
so
you
bad.
go in there and you have 2 minutes, you should really have a lot to say on that subject.
Look, and I mean, former President Trump is so easy to beat up. He's a convicted felon for
Yeah, she didn't really
misappropriating
bring that
funds.
up. He didn't bring that up much, which you would be shocked about that. I mean, I thought that he would go hard on that.
Me
So,
too.
I was talking to somebody who's very deep in the Republican Party, fully believes, that Trump is going to win, that he should win. His thought was, he was concerned for Biden. He's a nice guy, so he is concerned about him. But he said he doesn't think that Biden will step down unless there is some sort of agreement that there will be immunity for him in the future, and that Hunter can get off. So he thinks that if they come up with an agreement, that he will step down. But I guess it's really up to him as to whether or not he would decide to not run. But what I think is odd is that why would he not say, I'm going to not run for the people? Like, it doesn't make sense, because I do think Biden cares. I do think that he's been doing this his whole life. And as much as it's going to hurt him to walk away, I think he would say, well, listen, this is the right thing to do for the people, is for me to let someone else run. Don't you?
I mean, I hope he's doing that right now, right? I
Yeah.
hope that even to see, Joe Biden come out and have to try to help him off stage. I mean, it was just like seeing a ailing parent. It was so
It was terrible.
sad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If they're not having that conversation, I don't know what to say. I mean, certainly, obviously, the Democratic Party and strategists are much more brilliant than I am. I mean, maybe they look at the polls, maybe they look at the pulse of the American people, and maybe they feel like Gavin has this reputation, which he's trying to pull back on here in California, of being
Yeah.
so woke, so extremist, that
Mm.
maybe they feel like he can't bring it. And even like, maybe with President, the other thing too about doing these debates early on, right, is people have short memories.
Yeah.
So if they do them in the summer, and then we still have all of September, you have all of October, does the economy continue to go gangbusters? Do the feds cut the interest rates? Now, of course, the president doesn't control that. So it's hard to say, but maybe they're thinking they get lucky with some of those things right before the election and things change. I don't know. I mean, but I do know this is, and I'm sure you saw it with CNN, MSNBC, Fox, everybody last night. I mean, you had strategists across the aisle being like, I mean, we're in trouble. Like,
Yeah,
we're
panicking.
in big trouble.
Panicking.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it was the first
yeah.
time you really heard the media come together as one,
Yes.
saying we have a problem and we've got to fix it, because this is a huge problem for the Democratic Party. And then obviously the Republicans were not happy with Trump's performance, but they were saying what's interesting is do not count them out, because Trump is not as strong as he used to be at this point. So they still believe they can bring someone in. They just have to do it quickly. I mean, this is not something they can wait till August to decide. This would have to be implemented now. I wanted to ask you a question. Who do you think the VP is going to be for
Well,
Trump?
great question. You read my mind. You talk about how chaotic, former President Trump is. Here we are 5 months from the election. He doesn't even have a VP
Yeah.
nominated.
Right.
Who do I think it's going to be? I think I don't think it's the woman. God, I'm going to lose her name. And the governor that wrote the book where she shot her dog.
Oh,
Um,
no. I think that's way past. He knows he can't do
she's
her.
gone.
He would really,
She's gone.
he
I
brought
think,
up, he had mentioned-itis last night of Tim Scott, which made
I
me
think
think it was
Tim's,
going to be Tim Scott.
that's what I think too. I
Yeah.
think, and I mean, it's brilliant, brilliant move. And Tim, I think, is a very level-headed, I think Tim Scott brings a lot. I think there should be his slogan. Tim Scott brings a lot.
Very
I think
simple.
Haley, I mean, I love Nikki Haley. I don't think she would do it. She has endorsed him because she loves the Republican Party. She's going to toe the line,
Yeah.
but I don't think she would be his VP. And I think they would really butt heads.
They
But
would definitely butt heads, but I
yeah,
would think that would be a really strong ticket if he had Nikki Haley. I like Nikki, actually.
I like Nikki a lot. I think she's super level-headed. She said a few things, they all do, that you disagree with. And
Yeah.
again, we have a bigger problem. It's not necessarily the candidates. A lot of people representing us are good people, but you're dealing with a machine now
Yeah.
that, is run by huge companies. I mean, there's parts of Elon Musk I really enjoy, but Elon, Jeff Bezos, these guys are influencing a lot of things behind the scenes because of how many people they employ, how much money they bring in. I mean, that's who we're appealing to. And not only that, I mean, all these candidates are lobbied the shit out of, they have insane lobbying groups that do
Yeah.
all day, that just sit in these senators' offices and representatives, and they're hustling them all the time. And so it's such a bigger machine than, like, is the person a good person? We really do need an overhaul of our parties. And I think the American people, I know you see it. The American people are ready. We're tired of it. We want a middle class where, I mean, it's fucking crazy that people that aren't, like, are 35, 40 can't afford to buy a home. I mean,
Yeah.
that's nuts in major cities.
No, I know it.
Insane. So neither of these parties are working for us, but I think Tim Scott would be good. I think he's a good person. I think Nikki Haley's a good person too. I think she's just too good of a person to probably partner with Trump, but
Yeah. I think he had a lot of good candidates who were running against him, like what was it, Vivek? People
did
like
you like
him.
him?
I mean, listen, I'm not really the Republican, so I didn't like any of them, but I thought he was a little hot-headed and young. But my favorite was Chris Christie. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah, I
love
like
Chris
Chris.
Christie. I think he
I like
is
Chris.
fantastic. He's no nonsense. I feel terrible saying this because I love him so much, but I think that the majority of people, I don't think this, but I think the majority of people think that if he cannot get his weight under control, he's not able to control anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why somebody didn't just stick him with Ozempic and, help him out a little, because he's so great. And I felt terrible that no one liked him. And I really think it's because we are a shallow nation and people didn't like his weight.
No,
Unpopular
we are.
opinion.
We 100% looks matter. 110% your looks absolutely matter. And more than ever, I don't give a shit what people say. We are in a materialistic, glam society that is all about youth. I mean, I hate that there's this discussion all the time with these two candidates about age.
Yeah.
People that are older bring so much wisdom. I don't know how you feel, but turning 40 for me, I thought was going to be the worst day of my life. And my 40s have been the best. The
Yeah.
confidence you bring, the way you know people, and that only comes from, like, working in environments, getting hired, getting fired, the way you can read people, understand, see through people's bullshit. I mean, that's only something age experience can give you. So older people bring so much to the table.
Yeah.
But we're obsessed.
It's clear there is an expiration date, because
Yes.
I think that Joe Biden has now proven the point that no matter how much experience you have, like you're saying, no matter how much wisdom you bring, there is a point where you have to step down because it's too late. You cannot be effective at a certain age. I think it was made clear last night.
100%. I mean, people call him Ruth Bader Biden. I mean, she was another one. She didn't know when to quit. A lot of them don't. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know President Biden personally. Maybe he is, like, maybe there is a part of him that's like a ego driven person that's like, I'm not giving up. To hell with that. But
I wonder if this Hunter Biden thing aged him. Like, I wonder if behind the scenes he
oh,
was fine a couple months ago, but then the trial and the conviction, maybe it just, like, threw him over the edge.
That man has President Biden has lived through so much. Can you imagine like the tragedy that's been through? And
No.
oh my God, it's heartbreaking. Like
Yeah. I
it's
do
so.
like him. I like him. Poor Joe.
I loved the line too. You have the morals of an alley cat.
Oh, I wrote that down too. I thought he's still funny. I mean, he's still
It's
really
so
fucking
funny.
funny. And the fact that he was like, I have a 6 handicap. I have an 8 handicap. Like he couldn't even get the number right. And then it's like, I'll play you if you carry your own bag. I was like stunned. I was like, what the hell are we talking about? Oh my
I
God.
love President Biden is so ready for a back alley fight with it's so epic. I know. It just yeah, we
Shuffling.
need
Somebody's gonna do like an AI thing of him shuffling in a back alley, with Trump. Oh God. Terrible. Well, I have Sean Spicer on Monday. Do you remember Sean
Oh
Spicer?
my God, yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you, thank you. I have him coming on to
You get good guess.
debrief the debate, and, it's gonna come out Monday night. I'm actually gonna interview him on Monday. I was gonna interview him today, but I wanted to have the weekend to see what happened, if anything, and
Yeah.
also just to see, once the dust settles, if there's more commentary, because the commentary is all the same. Everyone feels one way. The country is not divided on this. So by Monday, I want to see if anything new comes up. But I'm
Well,
really excited to meet Sean Spicer. I remember during when Trump was in office and he had the job, he was so funny. He was on Saturday Night Live every single Saturday. They always made fun of him. He always had some outlandish thing to say that he, totally believed and said with such conviction behind that podium. So I will be very thrilled to meet him on Monday.
I can't wait to hear that interview too. You get good ones.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
give him hell too. All these people that work for President Trump, they all work for him. They all, give the sound bites. And then the minute they can, they flip. They do Dancing with the Stars. They write books. They're so full of shit too.
Yeah.
So give him
No, it's
hell.
true. It's true. And I'm curious what he does now. The only thing I know that he does is he's on Cameo. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. By the way, everyone is on Cameo. I had Bam Margera from Jackass staying at my house this weekend. He's on Cameo. He was on my show, I think, recently. Ended up staying with me with his wife for the weekend, which was very cool. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are making a lot of money on Cameo these days. So
Big
that's it.
time. Well, I'm going to be curious to see how it unfolds over the next day. No, I think we will see him step down. And the thing is two gifts, right? One, we're united as a country on this debate.
Yeah.
Two, I think that everyone would have grace, would have understanding if President Biden stepped aside now and said, I'm not going to run. I'm going to hand it to somebody else. I think people would have respect for him. I think it would help not that he cares about his legacy. He's 81, but you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes life gives you an opportunity, a door to open to walk through with like complete support. And
Yeah.
to me, last night was that moment for him to do it. Everyone would understand. I think it would throw the Republican Party back on their heels because, again, I do think a Gavin could go. Can Gavin win? I don't know. But I think Gavin could go toe to toe with Trump because Gavin's a little crazy too.
Yeah,
In
I
an
think Gavin could
egotistical
win.
way.
Absolutely, I think he could win. I think it would be interesting to see who we would pick. So then what happens with Kamala? She's out, right? I think that's the other thing. Did you see Kamala's interview last night? I thought that was, she did a good job. First of all, she has a great presence on television. I don't know why everybody
You
hates
think?
her. Yeah, but the thing is that she
Oh, I
wouldn't
know.
answer any questions. So, but obviously she wouldn't answer any questions because she couldn't. I mean, she has to support her president. So I think she's in a very tough spot. And also if he doesn't run, she's done. So, I think she's in a very tough spot. You don't like her on camera?
No.
I know that no one likes her.
They've done a lot of work with her, but I mean, when they were first elected, she would go on 60 Minutes. I mean, she was foolish. She would laugh at foolish things. She had this nervous laugh, kind of like, and so snarky towards people. And look, she's a brilliant woman, far smarter than I am, So, I mean, congrats to her. And she's made it all the way to the first female vice president. But I mean, she does not present well on camera. Now, they've done a lot of work. Last night, that interview was great. It was composed. It wasn't tee-hee-hee. But no, she's foolish a lot of times out there. It's like nobody. And that's where I'm sorry, but it is sexist for women. Women, you got to come out. You've got to have controlled confidence. Hillary Clinton did it for a while, but there was a lot there, that worked against her on many fronts. But you got to be cool. You got to be calm. You got to have the Oprah effect. And Kamala, it's a mess. But she's gotten better, I will say. But she doesn't have that it factor, that Michelle Obama factor, that Oprah factor, that maybe Gretchen Whitmer factor that can really like run a room, and she just doesn't have it.
So I think our pick would be, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Gavin running for president, vice president being Michelle Obama. That would be a great ticket.
Oh, that would be
an unbeatable ticket, I think.
Unbeatable ticket. And if anything, Gavin needs to pick somebody of
color.
Patriots. Sorry. If it's not Michelle, because I don't think she'd do it, it's got to be a person of color that's in the middle, that's sensitive. Because Gavin has the perception of being very woke. He's got to be at
this point. How could she not do it? I mean, don't you think it's for the people? She should be doing it because it could save the Democratic Party. It could get them elected. Honestly, I think that anyone else would have a hard time pulling it off. I think people really like her.
Oh, they love her. I see. There's somebody composed. Yeah. Like composed, cool under fire.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. Well liked in other countries.
Did you think it was weird that Melania didn't come last night?
Yeah, but with President Trump, isn't it the odder the better? It just, you know what I'm saying? He's broken so many norms, right? I mean, yes. I mean, to all these things, right? It's like, to sit there and lie and say didn't have sex with a porn star while his wife was pregnant. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just the new norm, right? But people don't care. And I say to my husband, I mean, I don't
even know. Why did he double down on that? Everyone knows he had sex with her. That's what I don't understand. And the fact that we're still talking about it in a debate, but why he lied about, by the way, she was my next door neighbor. Did we ever have this conversation?
What?
In Vegas? Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Was Story so much fun? I'd be over to her house all the time. I would have been hanging with Stormy.
Contacted me in 2011 about this story and about if she could call Us Weekly. And if I had already been in the paper and I knew all these contacts, and asked me if I could connect her because she wanted to tell the story. At the time she needed money. And so she told me the story, and she told me the story about how it was very boring. There wasn't much to it. I didn't think they were going to buy it because there wasn't much to it, but she did have sex with him. Shark Week was going on. She told me the whole thing. And then when it came out, by the way, they said no. They said the story wasn't worth it to them because he was so famous doing Apprentice at the time and he had a lot of power. And it wasn't that big of a story. He was cheating on Melania. She had a baby recently, I think, and big deal. So that fell through. But then to see it come to pass years later, 5 years later, 6 years later, whenever it came out, I remember seeing that on TV and being like, good for her. She found her time. A couple of years ago, it was not her time, but now it is. And she's, finding her fame, because I knew she did need some money and I knew she needed fame, but I knew the story was real beyond whether or not people like the fact that she, think that she was trying to extort him, whatever. The bottom line is that the story is real. And I don't think anyone thinks it's not real. Who's paying somebody $150,000 to be quiet for something that is not true? Yeah. So anyway, the lying factor is a problem for me. Don't you think?
Enormous. That's why I couldn't vote for President Trump. No, he's a complete liar. It's just so many lie after lie after lie. And and I don't care. Like I said, I have many friends, many family members who love Trump, will vote for Trump. But I'm just always saying to them, the presidency was so chaotic. How can you support a presidency? I mean, the most turnover of a staff, Now, I think what people love about Trump, and I get it, people want to drain the swamp. We do have two parties that are completely bought and sold, as I've said 18,000 times today, by big money, big lobbyists, and it is not working for the middle class American people like ourselves. It isn't. So I get why people like President Trump, because when President Trump ran the first time, he came out and he said, I'm going to drain the swamp for you. And he started to do a lot of that, getting the lobbyists out of there all the time, getting some big money. But, it was chaotic in other ways. He did major tax cuts to help extremely wealthy people like himself, that they got richer and richer with our economy. And, that's fine to some degree, but you have to create a thriving middle class, and we don't have it. Yeah. And neither one of them can create it. They both fumbled the ball on COVID. And, it's insane to me that Joe forced us all to get a vaccine that does not prevent you from getting COVID and does
Yeah.
not stop you from spreading it. And we
Yeah.
were all, I mean, how we as a people are not suing our own government for now. Look, I'm pro-vaccine. My child's vaccinated. I got the vaccine, but people should have the right, especially for a vaccine that doesn't prevent you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get the polio vaccine because then you don't get polio. We
Right.
were forced to get, we were told by companies, you can't come back to your job. I mean, you know how big brother that is? That's insanity.
Well, yeah,
And Joe did that.
I lived in New York at the time, and my daughter couldn't go to school unless she had the vaccine. And by the way, about a week later is the first time she ever got COVID. So yeah, I mean, I totally see what you're saying. And then I know plenty of people that got fired from their jobs because they wouldn't get the vaccine and wouldn't go back and were being disruptive by arguing about it. So, and again, I am someone who
Yeah.
got the vaccine, but also I had not gotten COVID for 2 years. The second I got the vaccine, I got it. So
And if
yeah,
any
I agree
of
with
your
what you're saying.
I mean, have any of your extreme liberal friends come out and apologized for shaming, shaming anybody who didn't
No,
wear a mask? Now we know, and Fauci himself said the 6 feet rule apart doesn't work.
right.
Masks don't work.
Yeah.
Masks. I mean, have any of your friends come out? No. Will
No.
the Democratic Party come out and go, you know what, we made major mistakes through COVID. We shouldn't have done. They'll never apologize. So I don't. Look, I'm much more of a we need a third party candidate. We've had him before. We've done it before. I wouldn't vote for really either of these men at this point. I don't believe that their parties really care about the amazing America. We have so I'm just going to say it. I guess I'm an Americanist. We have the greatest people in this country, the greatest. People hate us because we really are the best. It's this country. I've traveled the world. I'm sure you have too. There's nothing better. The people of this country are so generous. Your neighbors are such good people for the most part. And the fact that we don't have a party that's really in there doing that for us on either side we need a huge change.
I completely agree. And I love that you said that. Okay. Let's switch gears if that's okay with you.
Please. I think
Okay.
people are ready. They want to hear
All right.
something.
So the big story right now is this Karen Reed verdict. We are or Karen Reed trial. We are in, verdict watch, so to speak. And actually, right as we jumped on this live, the jury came out and said that they are hung. The judge sent them back to lunch and said, after lunch, you got to go see if you can figure this out.
Wow.
But it seems to me like they will not be able to figure it out. And by the end of the day, they will probably come out and say they are a hung jury unless they feel like, they're going to have to try at least for a couple more days, Monday or Tuesday, to see if anyone changes their mind. But that's big news. And it seems like the defense is okay with it. The prosecution is not. So that's why they wanted them to go back. What are your thoughts on this? First of all, for people that don't know, Karen Reed, is the girl in Boston who people don't know if she's a killer or if, the prosecution is covering up an incident that happened in the police department, I guess is how I would say it. How would you say it?
Yeah, right. She dated this police officer. Was he a state cop in Massachusetts? Or okay, state cop in Massachusetts. They had a very contentious relationship, including text messages, voice messages have come out where she's even said, "I hate you." Which again means nothing, right? We all have these fights with our partners. We all say things at different times.
And she was flirting with guys on the force that he worked with.
And he allegedly, they both had cheating, I guess, alleged cheating incidents. So they have this kind of drunken night. And, the question is, did she basically run him over and leave him in a ditch to die? Or was he dropped off at his other cop friend's house and something happened within the house that he died? And to your point, this is a police cover up and a prosecution cover up. I don't know. I mean,
do you have feelings on it based on the evidence you listened to in the trial or that you've read?
Look, I mean, our justice system works. Do you believe without a doubt or a shadow of a doubt that this person did this? Like the thing with her is I think there's doubt there. I think
there is reasonable doubt.
Is there reasonable doubt?
I don't know that she did it if she did it, I don't know that she did it on purpose. And it was something that she did and was accidental. And either she's pretending she doesn't remember because she's drunk or saying she completely didn't do it, right? Because she didn't. So I don't think that it was an intention where she backed up the car on him, left him in the snow to die, and then pretended it didn't happen. I think it was accidental. But I still don't really follow how there's a cover up and all these guys saw him in the house, beat him up, put him outside. I mean, I don't really get it. I don't know how there would be a cover up like that.
To me too, if I were on that jury, I think the most damning thing was, I don't know if when the police initially interviewed her, but she did say, I think in 2 occasions, like, "Oh gosh, I think I killed him," or, "Oh God,
Yeah.
did I kill him?" You know, something to me, it's like, would you say that? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm trying to,
No, I would be like,
why
what
would you say that?
happened? Who killed
Right,
him? You
right,
know? How
right,
did he die? I think you would be shocked. Even if
right.
you're in a fight with your boyfriend and want him dead, when it actually happens, you would be like, "Oh my God, what happened? Holy shit." It would be scary that someone you're that close to is now found dead, freezing in the snow. So, but I do think that there was all sorts of things that didn't make any sense. The fact that, the other thing is he could have gotten in a fight with somebody in the house, left, fallen down drunk in the snow, died, and I guess that's the cover up. The fact that these guys, it happened at their home, but there was that weird stuff. The jury has come out twice to talk to the judge. The first time was to ask for the CERT report, which is the search and emergency rescue report, which was not put into evidence, so they were not able to get it. But I think they were questioning about, I want to know the details of what happened when they found the body and what was around it, because there was a lot of questions as to, like, where was the tail light? Why was he in a different jacket at the hospital than he was at when they first got to him? Those questions bring up reasonable doubt. And
Yeah.
I don't know that she could be found completely innocent. She can be found on a lesser offense, which could be manslaughter, whatever it is, but it's not life in prison. So for her, the best case scenario is that that there will be a hung jury, excuse me, because then she can go home, figure it out, and then the prosecution will see if they're going to retry it. What I heard today, which I thought was very interesting, this jury's not sequestered. Have you ever heard about a jury being not sequestered in such
No,
a big trial? I mean, they
no.
can go home and they're not supposed to look at what the media says. They're not supposed to listen to what their family says. But this is such a big deal. I've heard that people in Boston are getting into fights at bars over the subject, that it is the biggest story. You even know about how many fans she has, 400 people standing outside of the courthouse on a daily basis saying
Yeah.
free Karen Reed. So the town is split down the middle, and people are not happy about it and are getting physical about it.
I know it is weird that she has these like uber fans. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. You know, maybe people that really research this and have been listening to the court case in and out really know details that we don't, but I'm
Mhm.
shocked. I mean, this is it's giving me that Scott Peterson vibe. And
Yeah.
I just had on, she's a good guest for you, actually, Rabia Chowdhury. She's the one that was got the serial podcast for Adnan Syed. She's like very good friends with Adnan. She's a criminal defense attorney. And she believes Scott Peterson is innocent.
Wait,
And
what?
yes, you gotta have her on. She has a whole bullet point case of how Scott did not do it. I'm telling you. So, I don't know, and Scott Peterson is like, these women, like, love him in jail.
Oh,
They love him, like, everywhere. So, Karen's giving me that vibe, like, I mean, people are out. They love her. I
they love
mean,
her, but she also, I think that half the other people don't like her. Number one, because they're on the side of the cops. But number two, there is a quality about her that is unlikable for whatever
yeah,
reason. She laughs when like you were talking about with Kamala. She laughs when she shouldn't laugh. I think the judge admonished her for that yesterday in trial. She in court. There are some things about her. The fact that they're doing a documentary on her life right now, so cameras are following her to and from. I think she's acting like she
yeah.
has some star power as opposed to being a woman who is on trial for her life right now. So I think it's very interesting. It will be so interesting to see how it happened. As soon as the verdict comes out and whether or not they'll have a hung jury, I have a guy on named Turtle Boy. Have you heard of him?
No, who's Turtle Boy?
Turtle Boy is very famous. You've got to Google him when we get off this. In this scenario specifically, he is somebody who has been a blogger for a while that voices a lot of unpopular opinions about crimes. But he has followed this one so closely that he has been the go-to guy on court TV, all sorts of places. And he hosts a nightly live feed on Rumble talking about what's going on, to the point where for the prosecution, I think, is suing him because he's putting so many theories in people's mind about what's
Ugh,
going on. He is on the free Karen Reed side.
Training,
So
okay.
it'll be interesting to see. But I wanted to have an expert come on and talk to me once the verdict was read. So again, I just texted him before we got on. Now that I see it's probably going to be a hung jury, I'm going to interview him and see his thoughts on that and have him break down the whole thing for us, because I want to hear about all the evidence and how, what the defense is saying and what the prosecution is saying so that I can make an educated decision on it. I love stuff like this.
I know, yeah. I feel like your next career has to be criminal defense attorney. Like
Well, yeah, I mean, or I would have
you'd
loved
be really good.
to be best friends with Keith. What's the guy's name with the white hair, the wrinkly
Oh,
skin from
who's on
Dayline?
Dateline? Oh my God, who's
Love him.
Matthew Perry's
Stepdad.
stepfather?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Keith Morrison.
Keith Morrison. I'd love to be his like assistant. He's so interesting. He's got a lot of good stuff on his plate.
Yeah, that is really good.
Okay, the other trial, or not trial, sorry, documentary about a trial, it's The Perfect Wife. It's out on Hulu. The Sherri Papini story. Did you end up watching this?
I did, thanks to you. You told me about it. I had not really followed Sherri too much. Obviously everybody knew of her, right?
Yeah.
But the documentary is so good. So good.
Yeah.
And she's completely mentally ill, don't you think? Like, I
So
mean,
for
what
people that don't know what this story is, it's a husband and wife. I think they lived in California, right?
Yep, California.
And she disappeared. The husband was looked at very seriously. They think they acted like they thought he did it. That made me very uncomfortable watching in the documentary how they kind of went at him. And he's this really innocent guy. I don't want to say uneducated or dumb, but he kind of comes off
like
naive is a
super
better
naive.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he really loved her, and she framed him for being abusive. She told all her friends. She kind of set it up that he was this abusive guy, was terrible to her. She ends up to being disappearing for 22 days. There was a complete man search for her, and she ends up just appearing somewhere, and said that she was abducted by 2 Mexican women. 6 years later, the cops had still looked into this with due diligence, ended up finding, which is so crazy, finding out that it was an ex-boyfriend of hers from high school that she had called and convinced to take her in and help beat her up, basically, to make her look like she had been abducted by these people. But there was nothing so I always assumed this was a romance thing. He says that they never had sex. There was nothing sexual. She slept in a separate room. And I believe that. He seems very
You do?
naive too. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bull. I don't
do.
believe that for what you're gonna. Okay, come on. You're a smart woman. You're friends with a lot of people. You're gonna have a man over who says, "Oh, I need to stay here for 22 days. By the way, could you brand me?
But
Could
why?
you break
Yeah.
my nose? Could you put a noose around my neck and drop me off on the side of the road, but we're not
And you think
fucking?
they were just having
Give
sex
me
the whole
a
time?
break." Yes. And if he is willing to lie, and the fact that his ass didn't go to jail, I'm sure they didn't have enough proof or anything, but his ass should be in jail too. He's as much of a nut as she is.
Yeah.
No,
This
you
is a
are
picture
getting
of the husband, not the boyfriend at the time, who's a
you're
very
getting the
nice guy,
best.
and I wish him the best. Poor
He
thing.
is a sweetheart, isn't he? Yes, of what he's been through. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw this, but Sherri now, they still live in California. She's got a new boyfriend, and she's
Mhm.
trying to get, I think she can see the kids once a week, supervised. They have 2 children together. She's
Mhm.
trying to get more time. I hope she doesn't get 1 more ounce. Are
I
you
agree.
kidding?
I think she's mentally ill. So the rabbit
Yes.
hole I went down, and I told you a little bit about this, is that she has a new boyfriend. He owns an auto body shop. His name is Sean. And I actually reached out to him because there is
I
a
love you.
complete like black cloud around his head too. He is a widow. First of all, I read this in the Daily Mail that she had a new boyfriend. He was a widow, and my bells went off because anytime someone's a widow, I just want to know a little more. You know what I mean? So, and when I looked at this, I went down this rabbit hole, found myself on Reddit where there's hundreds of people claiming that he killed her, that she was sick for 2 days, that all these things happened and she died, and he claimed it was from COVID, but no one ever saw her sick. No, everybody thought that she wasn't feeling well. And it was like on a Sunday, she wasn't feeling well Sunday. Monday, the husband, Sean, told the nanny not to come in. He went to work. He didn't answer his phone all day. He left the wife alone with the 2 kids, and the 2 kids kept calling the dad. He wouldn't answer. And the mom, at midnight, was dead, but he didn't call the ambulance until after she stopped breathing. So like up until that point, he just kept her at home. I think it's weird. I think that he should say something. So being the former reporter that I was, I found out where he works, found out where his auto body shop is. I called the auto body shop. I had a long conversation with the manager, who, by the way, has said they've gotten death threats. And I said, if I send you an email, can you give it to Sean? And he said, well, I'm going to edit it first. And I was like, oh, I get it. People are writing things that are so terrible to him.
Oh, okay.
And I said, I'm not writing as a terrible person. I have a platform where people are misunderstood. So if he thinks he's misunderstood, I want to hear it. So, I mean, who knows?
Good. Great.
He's a killer, or if he's misunderstood or what, but I want to hear why he's dating Sherri Papini. I mean, what a choice and a girlfriend. Don't you think?
Choice. Yes, I think you're absolutely correct. I would want to know. Yes, I got a lot of misunderstandings with Sean.
Yeah.
I mean, why that being one?
Yeah.
Why you would choose her as your girlfriend?
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay.
We'll respond, but anyone who hasn't seen The Perfect Wife should. It's very good. Another thing that came out in this past week is that Armie Hammer finally spoke out in a podcast of a friend of mine. I also have been trying to get him very hard. I've always wanted to talk to him. And this is a guy who is a famous actor, very good looking, who was canceled because a bunch of women came out and said that he had cannibal tendencies, and really made him out to be this terrible person, terrible, disgusting person. And he had to disappear for 4 years. And the nutshell of what came out in his podcast was that it was a blessing in disguise, because for the last 2 years or whatever it's been, he's gotten to drop off and pick up his kids every single day from school. He's gotten to be present for his father, who was ill and I believe has now died. He said if he was acting, he wouldn't have been able to do any of that. And he knows the value of when you are in a very low situation to learn from it, take from it, and teach people, how to make yourself better. That said, he's like, it is crazy that anybody thought I was a cannibal. I'm not a cannibal. And that to me was all I needed to hear. I mean, we all knew he wasn't a cannibal. I thought that it was very bizarre that the media would take 1, 2, whatever it was, women who sent screenshots of him in a sexual way saying, I want to eat your ribs or suck your blood or whatever it was. I found that to be really disgusting of the women, that they would open up that personal interaction with someone, unless it was something that was damaging to them. And they said it damaged their, their psyche or whatever, their mental state, but they interacted with him. And that's his fetish, I guess. It's not my fetish, but it's his. But imagine whatever your fetish is, people make fun of you for it and you get canceled. You lose your wife, you lose your business, you lose, any sort of credibility. And people now think he's a cannibal. I think that's crazy. I think what happened to him was terrible. I really do.
He'd be an amazing guest for your show. Okay, remind me, it was just things that he would slip into women's DMs. Now, of course, he was married, so obviously everybody hates that. He shouldn't be doing that.
And was he married when that happened? I don't think so.
No. Okay, you probably are correct. I don't want to say because I don't know for a fact.
Okay, I don't know either. So
you're right. So he would basically just say, I want to tie you up, eat your ribs, that kind of stuff, right? But he never really did it. I thought when I watched the documentary that some of the women said they did have sex with him and he was super rough with them, but I guess it wasn't to the point of, yeah, I mean, you're right. I think with this one, it is kind of wild. Is this a Kevin Spacey, right? I mean,
right.
I've been obsessed now with following Kevin Spacey since he did the Piers Morgan interview. That's somebody I want to interview because Kevin Spacey's career, one of the greatest actors of all time, has been destroyed. The guy's bankrupt over false allegations.
What were the allegations though? And do we know that they're false?
Yes. One actor, you're going to ask me his name. He's pretty well known, brought a case against Kevin Spacey that they had a party. Kevin was drunk. Kevin threw him down on the bed, laid on top of him, said some things to him or tried to have sex with him. Okay. They go to trial for this civil suit. So Kevin Spacey, by the way, has spent millions and millions of dollars on all these court cases to try to get rid of them. They go to court. The actor that accused Kevin Spacey, come to find out, the exact way he described Kevin as allegedly attacking him was a scene from a Broadway play the guy had been in. with
Okay.
another actor. They were able to disprove that. And then the guy said the attack happened to him by Kevin when Kevin lived in this studio apartment. Kevin's lawyers were able to easily prove that at the time that the guy said that this happened, Kevin lived in like a 5-bedroom mansion or something, that he didn't
Right.
own a studio. He didn't rent a studio. There wasn't. So this guy fabricated that and is ruined. Now the actor stands by it, says it still did happen, even though he lost in court. And the
Okay.
court awarded this actor to pay $40,000, which is like peanuts for what Kevin Spacey has been through,
Yeah.
to Kevin and his law team for what they went through.
So,
But I mean, that's crazy. So it's like,
That's
it will be
crazy.
interesting to see, can Army work again? You know, this does seem to have passed. You know, what
I don't know that
Army's,
it's passed for people that are trying, he was in
do you think though, but
movies
there's
where he
nothing's
was like a
coming?
hunky lover. So, I don't know that he can have those kind of roles again. But with Kevin Spacey, I thought
think he
more of it
can.
was that they were trying to shame him for being gay. Like, did we know he was gay before any of these things came out?
No, he has always been gay. I think he did say he's dated men and women, but been gay for quite a while and ended up
But
coming out
wasn't
as
out
gay.
about it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then came out when this happened, and a lot of people said, "Oh, you're just doing that to gain sympathy." I mean, the guy is gay. Like,
Right.
okay, what, we're now shaming people about their identity? I mean, give me a break. You
Right.
know, all these movements are always like, be yourself, be yourself. The guy's like, I'm gay. And then they're like, oh, you're using that. It's
Right.
the hypocrisy is wild. Anyhow,
Okay.
so he no, he ends up coming out to say I am gay. And like, no, I think Kevin will work again. And I think Army did not do anything illegal, to your point. And I think he will work again too.
Yeah. Well, that's a good
And they
prediction.
should, if they haven't done anything illegal, just because, to your point, like he has a fetish. Okay, you've convinced me. Because at first I was like, I think he's really creepy, which he might still be. But now hearing you, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm Team Army Hammer now.
There are plenty of people that are creepy, but it's not like he was,
true.
it's not like he ate someone, ate their ribs, sucked their blood out, and then like left her for dead. That would be something I'd be like, wow, that guy's insane. But he
Yeah.
had a sexual fantasy with someone, and it didn't even happen. I don't think. Like, it's not like the girl was hurt or anything.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that Army Hammer should have a second chance. Hopefully, he'll come on the show. All right. Any predictions for anything you're watching coming up before we go?
Okay, what am I watching? Well, I'm watching House of Dragons on HBO. I'm watching Real Housewives of New Jersey. There was a lot of talk that Real Housewives of New Jersey might be canceled, but I think we're definitely getting another season.
Mhm.
Let's see. What other shows am I watching? Look, you had the big Sister Wives interview. Supposedly Sister Wives is coming back end of August or September. Did Mary tell
She
you
said,
anything?
yep, season 19. It's coming back.
I can't wait.
She said
That's
she's
gonna
already
be
filmed for it.
enormous. The other show I watch is Welcome to Plathville. Have you seen that one? It's a
No.
TLC reality. Okay, I think you might enjoy it because you like sort of polygamy things. It's a family in Georgia. They have 13 children. They sheltered their kids. They were homeschooled. The kids didn't even know iPhones existed, never had a Coca-Cola. So they give them a reality show 4 years ago. And I will leave you with this teaser. The entire family has imploded. Like, they have gone from a Christian, we don't drink sodas, we don't use cell phones, to it's wild.
Wow.
Like,
okay, I'm going to watch that. And I'll leave you with one thing. You should watch
Okay, tell me.
Brats, which is on, I think it's on Hulu.
Okay.
It is about the Brat Pack, which was the group of actors like Emilio Estevez, Molly Ringwald, Andrew McCarthy, all these guys who were on Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club. Do you remember these movies?
Yeah.
Weird Science, 16 Candles. There was an article that came out that branded them the Brat Pack, which, I didn't realize it was such a big deal. It prevented them all from working ever again. Oh, Demi Moore was another one. And people don't really realize this, that they have struggled forever because it said that they didn't have talent, that they were brats, that they, acted terrible on set. And these guys really had a hard time. And none of them are actually friends in real life. So it was very weird because people would say, oh, are you guys all hanging out and talking? And they'd kind of have to like make up like they were, but they really weren't. They didn't know each other. They were just actors on a set. They were very good actors, but it took all credibility away from them. So
right, I gotta
Andrew
watch it.
McCarthy goes to Demi Moore's house, to all everyone's house, and talks to them about how it affected them. They play great music. They do great scenes from all the old movies. So it's great. It was really good.
Okay, well now I'm adding that to my list. All
If
right.
you were a
You
child
always
in
know
the
good ones.
80s and like those kind of movies, it's a very good one.
All right, I'm on it.
Okay. All right, Sarah. Well, I look forward to coming up with new topics every week and having you.
Yes.
having
So
you
good, Rachel. Oh my
And
God, I'm loving it. I'm
And if
loving it.
anyone has topics they think that we should cover, they want to hear us talk about, please let us know.
Please. All right, girl. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Misunderstood. I'm your host, Rachel Uchitel. Please be sure to subscribe to the show and give us a 5-star rating and review. You can support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/misunderstood with Rachel Uchitel. Do you have ideas for the show or want to reach out? Email us at info_misunderstoodpodcast@gmail.com. That's spelled MISS understood. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
I wonder if we talked way too